Motorola just released their latest flagship phone, the Moto Z2 Force. The 2 in there means that it's the second iteration of the Moto Z Force, and the Force in there means that it has a shatterproof screen. Now, the big draw to any of the Z line of Motorola phones is the fact that they're compatible with MotoMods. MotoMods are essentially these add-ons that Motorola has been partnering with other manufacturers like Hasselblad, JBL, etc. that can then attach to the back of the device to further its functionality. Now, it's because of these mods and Motorola famously stating that all of their foreseeable future devices will support all of the mod lineup going forward that you might notice that the new Z2 Force looks a lot like the Z Force and the Z Play and the Z2 Play, etc. We have our flat back. Since the mods need to be swappable, they have to all have the same flat design that is covered in this brushed metal that I kind of like, along with our camera bump, which all of the mods have a hole for, and the same pin connectors at the bottom for all of the mods to connect to. Now, while this flatter design does kind of feel maybe a little outdated in a world of G6s and S8s and OnePluses that are all just curved and other things, I actually don't mind it. I kind of like the flatter design and even the sharp edges. There's something about that I just kind of like, and the fact that it is different is kind of nice too, but that might just be me. Flipping the phone over, we have that 5.5-inch POLED 2.5K display that is really nice. Colors pop, it's super sharp, and if it weren't for the new aspect ratios and newfound race to remove bezels, it's a pretty good screen. And of course, since it does have that Force name in it, it means that it is pretty shatterproof. And when it does get scratched up, you can actually easily replace it with another, what they call Moto lens, which costs about $30 on Motorola's website. Under that screen, we have the fingerprint sensor, which works well, but instead of it being a home button with 2 navigation buttons on either side, like most Android devices that have a fingerprint reader home button, Motorola left the 2 nav buttons off and instead put all the buttons on the screen. Now, if you've ever seen my other Android phone reviews, you'll know that I am a big fan of the on-screen navigation. I just think that it's a smarter way to do navigation in the OS. They can move out of the way whenever they're not necessary. They can change depending on the screen you're looking at. They also allow for the bottom bezel of the phone to be a lot smaller, etc. The issue here, though, with that choice is that most Android phone manufacturers then move the fingerprint sensor to the back of the device so that they can actually make those front bezels smaller. Motorola has the MotoMods that go on the back of the phone, so obviously they couldn't do that. So instead, we're left with a fingerprint scanner on the bottom of the phone with 2 kind of useless bezels on either side and on-screen navigation as well. Motorola does, however, give you an option to turn that fingerprint sensor into kind of the home button and then also swipe right and left to get those navigation buttons that are missing. But if we're honest, it just doesn't feel natural and it's kind of hard to do. The device isn't any IP-rated type of certification for waterproofing, unlike most of the smartphones that have been coming out. But Motorola does say that they did put some type of waterproof, water-resistant coating on it, so it will survive a lot of splashes and other things like that. Just don't, try and drop it in the toilet. Next, we have the audio, which, considering I'm not a big audiophile, I just kind of appreciate when a phone can get loud enough without distorting the sound. The only real test I do for this is I check to see if I can hear a song with the phone on the bathroom counter while I'm in the shower.
Despacito, something, 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 wish I had a burrito, something, 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 burrito.
Which the Moto Z Force did just fine. The bigger thing audio-wise that I think most people will focus on about this device, however, is the lack of a headphone jack. There is simply a USB-C port, and while my review unit didn't come with it, Motorola says there will be a USB-C to headphone jack included with the device at retail. The camera is sharp and the color science is pretty good, albeit a little more saturated than I'm used to, but it still looks good. And it has an f2.0 aperture as well. A unique camera thing about this phone, though, is the front 5-megapixel f2.2 aperture camera also has a front-facing flash next to it, which I feel makes a big difference for selfie takers in low light. Stay tuned for the video comparison, though, that you guys asked for here on YouTube to see how the camera kind of stacks up side by side with the other flagships that are out. Now, one of the things that Motorola usually gets pretty right on their phones is the software. The Z2 Force is no different in that it is a very close to stock Android experience, making for a much smoother overall performance than some other manufacturers that throw a ton of UI changes on top of Android, which ultimately slow them down. Motorola even goes so far as to put the changes they want to add to Android in their own self-contained app, simply called Moto. This makes it a lot easier for them to handle upgrades to the OS and frankly adds some simple yet useful features like my most used one, which is twisting the phone to open the camera. The device has a Snapdragon 835 processor and 4 gigs of RAM, and that paired with the almost stock Android means that it flies pretty much through anything. Now, since we all like benchmarks though, here's Geekbench and 3D Mark for you to compare to other devices if you feel like it. Battery life on the phone with its decently smaller 2730 mAh battery versus its predecessor's 3500 mAh battery isn't actually that bad. The original Z Force had crazy battery life, but I still have to say that thanks mostly to the Snapdragon 835 as well as a very stock Android and Motorola's optimizations, it does kind of feel similar to me, at least in normal day-to-day use, as like an S8's battery life, which has a bigger battery. And that brings us to what I think is the real reason that would make you want this phone over any of the others: the MotoMods. They have ones from camera attachments from Hasselblad, speakers from JBL, battery packs, wireless charging mods, a 360-degree camera, a projector, etc. The thing is, each of these though costs between $80, say for the speaker, to $300 for say the camera mod, the projector, the 360 camera, etc. So they're definitely not cheap. Which brings us to the cost of the phone itself, which is about $720 on Motorola's website, and will be available on all US carriers instead of the previous models which were exclusive, starting August 10th. Now for a limited time, that gives you a rebate for the projector for free, which is about $300 normally, which is nice. But when you start to do the math on the phone and the mods, you start to see how pricey this system can become, and why Motorola's promise of continuing mod support is so very important as well. Now I'm a little conflicted about this phone. It has really snappy performance, it has a decent battery, a decent camera, it has a lot of good things going for it, but the truth of the matter is that the only reason you would want to buy this phone is if you wanted to invest in those MotoMods. And so the MotoMods in a way are kind of the best and the worst thing about this phone. I feel bad for the engineers of the Z line of Motorola phones in a way. So much of the innovation that they could be doing is being hindered by the fact that they have to work within the very specific constraints to keep this a modular phone. And it's because of that that a lot of the other departments of the device are probably gonna have a very hard time keeping up with their competition. With that said, I am a fan of the MotoMods concept. I even like some of the MotoMods. My only concern is I'm not quite sure if they're actually each worth it. I think in the world of a modular phone like this, if I'm going to invest in this phone, I'm going to need mods that I'm really excited about, and a decent number of them. Not only that, but there has to be a huge advantage or at least a decent price cut on each of these mods over the actual separate devices that I could just buy to do those functions anyway. Right now, I'm not so sure that there's enough of them or enough of a price cut, etc. for me personally to want to jump ship and just live in the Motorola ecosystem, which is what you're essentially doing when you go down this path. But I am optimistic, and I am anxious to kind of see what all these new mods that Motorola is talking about come out soon are going to be able to do, what they'll cost, and also what their partners come up with as well, because as we mentioned, it's been opened to a lot of people. So it'll be really interesting to see what innovations can at least happen on the mod side. There you guys, a bit of a lengthy review of the Motorola Z2 Force. Sorry that it was as long as it was. I'm just kind of on the fence about this device. I mean, I like the MotoMod concept. The phone is kind of cool. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts on the matter. Always like hearing from you. And if you like this video though, please thumbs up or share it. It is greatly appreciated. And if you want more videos like this, please check out my channel. And if you like what you see there, please subscribe. Also, if you are subscribed or if you're thinking of subscribing, please make sure to click that bell next.